Good morning. It's Friday, December 5th. It's a little after 10:30. This is the Dryden Public Broadband Committee meeting, the first of two meetings for the month of December. This is the reporting meeting on everything that happened in the month of November, and then a few other topics that we want to cover, including the fiber to the premises RFP timeline. But we're going to spend most of the time focusing on the very busy November, give you updates on where we are, some of the work that's been going on the project. I'm going to share this screen. Yeah. This is the document with our agenda, and then we'll go right over to the presentation document. But as I try to do at least one meeting a month is to review the mission of Dryden Fiber. Would one of our participants, Broadband Committee members, like to read the mission out loud?
Our mission is to provide reliable, affordable, high-speed fiber-based internet access. We offer state-of-the-art technology and unmatched customer service.
Dan, I think you were part of the team writing this mission 3, 4, 5 years ago. What were parts of it that like really were like this has to be part of it for you?
I think the last part, unmatched customer service. I think that's what makes us different. Is that people feel like they'll get responded to if they contact us. And I think we're seeing that in the comments that you relayed to us, that people are really happy with how we respond. And
Yeah,
it's a real obligation for us because we know we got a lot of people that want the service. And part of that is not just the current customers, but future customers.
there are many future customers. We currently have, I believe, from the number of the accounting as of this morning, somewhere around 499 customers as of December 1st, and somewhere around 506 customers as of today. In addition to that, we have more than that many already signed up for future growth, and then you know, 5, 10 times more than that who are prospective customers in the future.
We couldn't hit 500, huh?
We're not by December 1st, but not by the number of installs. We've done more than 500 installations, but some people
Right,
move, they move around town,
right, right.
they move in and out of the green zone. So Amanda and I are doing a lot of work to get the numbers all lined up on where they are. We'll talk about that in a few minutes too.
Hmm.
So we're going to go over the report. We'll look at the fiber to the premises RFP and then talk about upcoming meetings. So we'll start with the deck. This is the report for everything that happened in the month of November. I think I can put this in presentation mode. There we go. All right, so this is 12/5, but as of 12/1, we had 499 paying customers. We added 11 more or 12 more in November. I think we added 12 and lost one, so we're at 499 currently. We had 65 inbound requests on the website. That's kind of a follow along from the boost of signups in October from the Caroline groundbreaking. Uh, Not all of those in the last 2 months were from Caroline, even though the groundbreaking was there. It created a lot of media touches for us across the entire Dryden and Caroline area. So that helped to bring in signups. And we had signups that are in the green zone in Dryden as a result of a little bit in the referral program, but mostly in the media. So we're continuing to build the numbers, even though we're not adding more green zone. Monthly revenue is now over $27,000. We added 630 in the month of October in new revenue. That's from the new customer base. As I shared, we added no new parcels in the month of November, but we did make some progress overall in construction. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. The Freeville extension RFP, the project continues. This is 900 plus parcels uh, northwest, north, and northeast of the village of Freeville. It's over 25 miles of fiber. 60 business day build plan is estimated. We're looking at that ending around the end of February to early March and having it live for customers in March. Empire State Development Board did approve our our new budget. We are still waiting on a grant disbursement agreement. I talked with Connect All Office yesterday, who is administering this. Uh, they said they would give us a status. I believe they were a little bit surprised that we didn't have the GDA. Somewhere between executive leadership and the people running our project managing us and the contracts and legal department, the communication was that had been sent to us, but we have not received it yet. So they're digging into that. We should have a grant disbursement agreement um, imminently. It's been approved by everyone. It's been reviewed by our legal and their legal. It will come to us as a signed document, and we need that in place to begin our first reimbursement request. The network audit is now complete. This is the work that Clarity did to go to every utility pole, every handhole, and identify, document what's in there. We have pictures of everything. We we shared all that information. Clarity shared that information with Vantage for their planning. This was a milestone that had to happen based on Vantage taking over and having incomplete information from our prior engineering firm. And we needed this to basically design and build out the next phase of the project, including the Freeville expansion, that Freeville extension area. We didn't know what was there, so we didn't know exactly what we needed to do to build. And now that we have the information, we can, build it right and not to go back and build it a second time. In account management, phase one of the cleanup is complete, which was reviewing the over 1,400 inbound requests to figure out um, what the status is. Some of those were just hanging out there. When I started that work around September 20th, there were over 150 of those requests that had no status, unknown, somewhere between when they signed up and when I saw them, nothing was written down as far as where they are. Some of those were live customers, some of them were not in the green zone, some of them were in the green zone. A lot of them were tenants, and a majority of them were duplicates, people who signed up more than once. So we've cleaned that all up so we have a really good picture, which I'll show you in a few minutes.
Dave, can you confirm that we have responded to I know they got initial response, but as we are aware, there are a couple at least, especially in MDUs, who didn't get a clear response. And are we going to send one to them just to say we know they're there again or not? So
It's a great question. So later on in the presentation, we talk about HR. We are looking to hire an account manager to do that specific work, keep all these tenants of multiple dwelling units up to date, either monthly or every other month of where we are with the bringing of fiber from the street to their building, to their mobile home or to their apartment. As of right now, I can't keep up with that today. There's just too much going on to be doing that job. It had not been, this is not like it was being done by our previous person doing this work through September. It wasn't being done at all. But now we've identified that it wasn't being done and we know it has to get done. So we're trying to fill that hole in the team and get that communication out there. It's one of a few places that things are not going. I'd love to be able to talk to every prospect and say every week, like, here's where we are. We just don't have the resources to do that level of communication today.
I guess what I'm suggesting, maybe we should just do an initial or another one to them if we can identify and say, as just part of our customer say, hey, we're working on it. We'll let you know in the future or whatever, or
Yeah.
something like that. It's just because I mean we just haven't. Yeah. So we thought people were going back and forth, but it was like one communication, then none. So and I know at least that we have one person who wasn't too happy with that. So
Yeah, I think
and
someone who
so
signed up, who's an apartment that
yeah,
is in the green zone, was told like, we'll have service to you in a month.
yeah.
And it was like, there's just no way. Like, we don't have that timeline for MDUs.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a lot of steps that have to happen. I wanted to know how big this problem was, kind of around this question, because I know that there was that one prospect who signed up, didn't hear from us and said, well, I don't care anymore. I've switched to another provider.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to see how big that problem was, which was part of this cleanup to go through and see how wide and how deep is this problem. So I'll cover that in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking. It's important to continue to keep our prospects, of which there are hundreds of them, up to date on what's going on.
Yeah, it affects our customer service, or could badly hurt our customer service if we aren't careful. So I don't think we're there yet, but
Yeah, I mean it's a unique place to. This is all about communication about the amount of time it takes to deliver the service, not like, oh, your service isn't great, or the customer service that you're providing isn't great, or the speeds aren't fast enough, or like you didn't do my install the right way. Like none of those things. It's just like I want this thing really fast. I want you to deliver it to me right now, and we cannot just get it built fast enough to them. Um, it's a unique customer service problem that we have customers who are super excited to become people who are not yet customers, but they're super excited to become customers. Um, but we have, I think to say we have a better understanding of what this looks like and a job description together to get this out there and get this filled. Uh, the last part of this summary for the last month is the Caroline Hut project. Caroline Hut, the CO in Caroline at the town hall in Caroline is now underway. If you drive by there, you'll see it's being all um, dug up. We're going to pour the slab, I believe, on Monday. We've moved some of the stuff around to get ready. Um, it's happening. Like there's some physical infrastructure being put together in Caroline. The MIP scorecard as of December 1st is not much changes. Um, the biggest one is probably that we have 13 months to go. This is the deadline of this is December 31st, 2026. So we're getting to the last year that we have of this 30-month project starting in January. So we got a lot of work to do to reach these things will probably just jump up in big steps. It's not going to crawl along at like 1 or 2% per month. We'll see like a month where things just double, especially where it comes to miles, parcels, and unserved and underserved reached. Because we'll just do a bunch of work in a month and just go from like 2% to 20% or 30%. Probably sometime starting in April, we'll start to see these things move quite a bit. Any questions on the scoreboard? Okay, 391 days to go. That's where we're at. 12 months and 3 weeks. You have 141.9 miles to build. As I said, this grant work must be completed by 12/31/26. That includes 400 installations. So it's not just to build all of this and have it available, but it also means to deploy and install up to 400 houses that are paid for by the project. All right. This is just a plan for 2025. I'm going to keep us all accountable to the plan. The second column was the projected new number per month. The third was the grand total that we were projecting for the year. I did not change the second and third columns, the projected and the goal totals, since we set those back in January. But what we see is the actuals are quite a bit less than projection. The main reason that we're looking at for that is that we have added almost no new green zones since March 1st. So we stopped adding more green zone. We continue to add more people, more prospects. Demand is still steady, but we just don't have green zone available to activate those customers. We are working on what the projections will look like for next year from both Caroline and Dryden, both in a very optimistic methodology as well as a really conservative if things are just slower than they've been or as they've been. So I'll have those to present at the January meeting. Any questions on the goals? I think it speaks for itself. Just a lot way off where we thought we'd be, but primarily because we stopped construction to redesign the entire network. All right. So let's talk about signups because I did a lot of time looking through the data. For pre-registration, these are people who have signed up for service who are not yet in the green zone. I went through every single address and put it in one of these like 10 different neighborhood buckets, including the Freeville expansion zone. So Freeville expansion is what's currently under construction. This is the area from um, all of Provilleville Road, most of Bone Plain, most of West Dryden Road. Route 38 north from the village of Freeville to Groton, Route 366 northeast toward McLean, Ed Hill Road, Ocean, Morris, Malloryville, and a few roads along Route 13 heading toward Cortland. There's 900 parcels. We already have 81 of those 900 parcels have signed up. As soon as those are green, we call them, we do the install scheduling, and they're installed within a week, generally. The plan right now is not to release all 900 of those on day one. It's as they get spliced in and tested, we'll release them in neighborhoods. And those will start being released probably around February 1st and be released week after week through the end of March. The remaining 475 pre-registers are all in the town of Dryden across these different neighborhoods, giving us a total of 556 Dryden residents. So as Graham said, there's people who've signed up. These are people who've signed up who are not even in the green zone, who are just waiting for us to build to them. On top of that, Caroline just reached 150 unique addresses who've signed up for service, giving us 706 who've signed up across both towns, which is more than we have live today. So all we do is get everything built out, and we already have 100% more customers than we have today from what's already pre-registered. We'll pause
And
there.
Dave, can you just remind me how many of the 150 for Caroline? What was our target there for having them signed up from so it would be ready to do installs in a timely manner? There was some
So in the MIP grant,
budgetary.
New York State is providing funding to do 272
That
installs
was it.
in Caroline by the end of next year.
Okay.
We believe the first installs will be ready to go in July of 26. So between now and July, in the most ideal situation, we'd have at least 272 Caroline residents signed up. Since I met with the Caroline Town Board on October, I think October 8th, they had 92 signups. So they've added almost 60 signups in the last 60 days. So at that pace, we should be, 180 days from now, 200 days from now, we should be over the number, way over the number we need.
Great.
Varna is the lowest number on here, but that's because most of Varna, much of Varna, most is already built out, which is Turkey Hill Road, Route 366 from Turkey Hill East all the way to the NYSEG interchange. It's already built out. So what's left in Varna is that stretch between Mount Pleasant and heading west to the town line, as well as Hillside Acres. Other neighborhoods is like it's a pretty good showing. There's 24 people who have access to broadband on Route 13 have signed up for service. Like they have something. They just want something else.
Dave, when you get these requests, I think you do, log how they learned about us and what prompted them to
We
sign
do
up?
not. We do not do that. We do have a referral column where they can put the name of a person that referred them. Sometimes they put the name of an organization or website if they don't have a person's name.
Just kind of curious what pushes them um, to sign up. How did we get to them? Did they read about us? Did a friend tell them? Did they get the mailing? Did they see the signs?
Yeah, we don't have that information. We generally know it from when they sign up. Like, for instance, 2 days ago, you all You all probably received an email from Cassie from Town of Dryden newsletter sometime between 5 and 6 p.m. And I know that happened because between 6 and 10 p.m., we had like 10 new signups. People get the newsletter, they sign up.
That's
Town
great.
of Caroline has a print newsletter that goes in the mail to all Caroline residents once a quarter. I can tell you the day that that arrives because we get a huge burst of people sign up when those quarterlies go out. They have a mention of Dryden Fiber. The same thing with regard to our tax bill letter that went out last year. We sent a mailing to every property tax holder with their tax bill. It says introducing Dryden Fiber. Huge uptick. I think 98 people signed up uh, just in the first like 5 days between when the letter went out on December 30th and like January 5th. And we're doing that project again. And Caroline's going to do that with their tax bill too at the end of this month.
That's
So
awesome.
on those like milestone events, we see big bursts of signups. Otherwise, they kind of trickle in here and there, sometimes tied to press coverage, sometimes just people just talk. Um, our sign up form has like 14 fields right now. We could add a 15th field. Like as a percentage of number of fields, it's not that much worse to have one more
Yeah.
question. Like we don't really have a positioning where in the past I've worked for companies. I worked for a company that did online signups for account creation. We found that the more fields you add, the more reluctant people are to fill them out. So there's some happy medium of like, oh, I have to fill out another field, another field is required. I'll just do something else.
True, but that feedback could really
Yeah,
fuel
we
our
can do that.
efforts.
Yeah. So do you want to know how did you hear about Dryden Fiber or why? Why are you
No,
even signing
no,
up?
not why. We don't want them doubting themselves.
Why are you signing up for the service? Uh, just
No,
how did you hear about us?
help us out. Tell us,
Yeah.
something. What
It,
prompted you? You know, how did you hear about us? That's a fair question, and maybe a couple boxes that they
how'd
could
you
just
hear from
check.
us? And but we could put sign phone, but and then make it quick. So and
4 or 5
maybe other the
boxes and
day or
an
whatever. So,
yeah, like 4 or 5 boxes or an other.
yeah.
The thing that still amazes me is the number of people I talk to that, like, I talk to people that are in the green zone and they don't know they're in the green zone. And it's like, well, you should. You probably got a postcard. You probably got a few things, but
I, I I would say that everyone who's been in the green zone for more than 1 year has received at least 2 postcards
right.
to their mailing
Oh,
address.
but it just, I don't know what happens, but I just, I talk to people and they're like, oh, we can have it where we are. And I'm like, yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
I can tell you what happens because I have postcards from whatever these postcards are that come in the mail. I got
yeah.
this one looked
Yeah.
interesting, so I kept it. But like, you get these things in the mail, you're like, I don't know what that is. That's
Yeah.
not for me. I don't like. I'm happy or I'm not happy or I'm thinking about it today. Um, the idea of going door to door is still out there. It's not. It's
Yeah.
not. We don't really have the environment to do that year round.
Right.
The best time to do it is like 5 to 7 p.m.
Hmm.
when it is not dark out, which is
Right.
the summer for us. um, or in the weekends, not Sundays, and like weekend afternoons, not weekend mornings. There's like small windows of door-to-door time that can be effective.
Right.
Uh, and
And a
generally
lot of
not
people
when
don't
it's
like door to
seven
door
degrees
stuff.
out.
So yeah.
Uh, I think the problem will solve itself through other marketing once we're fully built out. Because
We need
I think we'll take
I
our
agree.
foot off the brake of like telling people that we have this great service and having right now 70% of the town not being able to participate.
you need to paint the roads, Dave, green where they are, and then put Dryden Fiber in big letters along the road.
I'll
Available
add that to
now.
my to-do
And see,
list.
that would be kind of a
Uh,
novel but
it's true. I
probably
mean,
illegal way of
We
advertising.
need to
so
get
so
on that
like
nice electronic billboard that park
we
Oh,
communication did,
we
like Dryden Dispensary that I see all the time on those boards.
I mean we have the invite I think as part of the negotiation to put that digital billboard is to have some public service announcements,
Right.
including Trident Fiber.
Yeah.
At the same time, for those 70% of the town that cannot yet
Yeah,
get
I
emergency
wouldn't do it
service,
yet.
if
Yes,
they see
I
that as
agree.
much as you're seeing the dispensary, they're going to be not super happy, especially if they're like on the edge of the green zone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like, and so it's like a balance, it's a very fine balancing act of getting the people who are in the green zone to know we exist and have them sign up and not overly pushing it to the yellow and
Right.
orange zones. Yeah. All right, let me keep going on the scheduling. So as of today, there are 35 prospective customers who are in the green zone that have signed up for service but have not yet had service installed. So I put these different categories of these 35. 7 of them are waiting for the prospect to respond to us. 9 I've handed integrity. They're in the process of getting scheduled. They might be scheduled, but I haven't heard back from them. They're in this attempted schedule. We know that for some of them, where we've called, left messages. 11 of these sounds like a lot, but of 11 out of like 1,600 inbounds, I've asked integrity for updates on where we are with those. And then 3 of them are scheduled. So there's a handful of inbound requests that are in the green zone where the status is somewhere in the scheduling process. Last part of this is these are people who have not explicitly said we're no longer interested. Some of them are not responsive, but they have not said no. For people who have said, no, I don't want it, I'm canceling my request, I moved or whatever, we've removed them from this list. There's a separate category of the canceled requests. Uh, right now, our process is when someone requests service, the website form is the only way they can get service. They fill that form out, tells us if they're in the green zone or not. Integrity then will call them to schedule them. And Integrity can look at the Clarity Connect scheduling calendar and talk to the customer and say, are you available on this date? Yes. And then Integrity can put that customer, that prospect, right into the schedule for Clarity Connect to go do the install. We do it by phone because it's a lot easier to have that back and forth with the prospective customer by voice versus saying like, we saw you signed up. Here's some dates we have available. Email us back. A couple of days later, they email. Those dates aren't available anymore. It's just much faster by phone. However, some customers just do not respond to phone calls. So we do follow-up emails if the phone call hasn't worked. We don't call them like 5 times. We only email them 1 or 2 times. And then they're kind of in this place where we've reached out to them and we're waiting for them to get back to us. All right, the next group are the tenants. As of today, there are 54 prospective tenants or renter customers who have signed up for service but have not yet had service installed. So, why unresponsive tenant or landlord information? So, like when a tenant requests service, they put on the form, I'm a renter or I'm a tenant. I immediately respond back to them. Um, Thanks for signing up. Awesome. For us to move forward, we need to have your landlord, your property owner, the person you pay rent to, has to sign an agreement that allows us to go in and do the installation. Can you share the landlord's information so we can contact them and put together the form that they can sign? Um, in this list, that's the biggest group. 19 of our prospects, I've followed up with them. Say, hey, I need your landlord information so we can get the right of access agreement together. And they have not responded. When they do respond, we then put together the legal contract. We send it to them electronically. They can do a digital signature. And this agreement sent to the landlord is 5. Awaiting a response from the property owner if they have questions, and we have a follow-up, 4 more. So there's some of the landlords who or property owner kind of use those 2 terms interchangeably, where they just don't sign right away or they have questions. A few of them are specific about the questions they have that communicating with the landlord about the right of access agreement, where they've said, there's something about this I don't want to sign. Like, great, let's talk about it. Send me red lines. We'll work with our town attorney to figure out if your requested changes about the right of access agreement are acceptable to us that we can manage. So there's a handful of those where we are ongoing in our negotiations with the landlords. And then finally, there's the right of access agreement needed, required, or signed, where we also need engineering. These are for MDUs, multiple dwelling units, mostly apartment buildings and mobile home parks, where we have to do some specific engineering of how we're going to bring the service from the pole out in front of their house into that apartment building or across that mobile home park. It looks like it's only uh, 19 prospects in that group, a total of 54 of these tenant slash renters. But I put a note and I tallied up the size of these rental properties on the bottom of this slide on the lower left-hand corner. It's 54 signups, but it represents 440 total units in the green zone that we could service once we have these signups signed, the right of access agreement signed, and in many of the cases, the engineering is completed.
How, how many do we have where one of these agreements is in place and the tenant has service?
We have a lot.
We do. Okay.
I can get that number for you. So single family homes are a majority of our renter tenant
Right.
surveys.
Or duplexes, those kind of things, right?
Even duplexes, we can bring in
Where we don't have
fiber.
where we don't have to do engineering. It's not where you're running into a central place and then running to a bunch of different apartments or
That's right.
running. Yeah.
Even I think we have one quad. We might have a triplex, but we definitely have at least one quad where two or three of the tenants have signed up.
Right.
Duplex is generally pretty easy because we bring a drop cable to each unit within the
Right.
duplex.
Right.
Single family homes, we have many of those. I can
We
get
have a lot of those. Okay, good. All right.
those are almost routine.
Yep.
The property owner's like, great,
Yep.
my tenant's gonna be happier if I provide this service to them, sign off, do the install, good to go. It's been the engineering required ones that are
Right.
the
Right.
biggest group. Mobile home
Yeah.
parks and apartment buildings.
But that's 440 units. That's a good number.
I mean, that's almost as many as customers we had
Yeah, yeah.
like
Yeah.
4 months ago. Graham, thank you for raising your
Okay,
hand.
well, I occasionally get that right. Um, does Dan have any insight on the law that was supposed to pass to give us the right to deliver like Spectrum can?
Yeah, they want to take that up again in the second half of the current session. Of course, the legislature's out right now. Ellis's office said they just needed a stronger commitment from, I think it was Senator May to move it, and May's office said they just needed more time. This is all in the frenetic June period that Albany typically does their job. They get most, well, they're rushing to get done after the budget, and then they do all the various bills in a hurry. Um, but yeah, I've already spoken to Kellis's chief of staff about this, and we'll remind them to put this at their agenda top. Well, I don't know if they'll go at the top, but on their agenda for January.
Great,
They're
thank
they're
you.
aware we need this, but of course, they've
Yeah.
been out of session since June.
I I would say that being the direct contact with many of these property owners, I don't think this solves the problem we
Yeah.
think it solves because most of these landlord property owners have a very negative relationship with Spectrum because of this, or DirecTV, who also will do this when their tenants call. DirecTV just shows up and drills holes into people's homes, their investment properties,
Mhm.
sticks on satellites, attaches staples, um, coax cable to the side of their buildings, puts in all these device like in talking to the actual owners, these landlords, these property owners, they're like, it's kind of like trespassing. But because Spectrum has been granted that right because they deliver television service, they can do it, and the property owners can't stop them. But it does not make a good relationship between the landlords and our competition.
Well, that's a different a different take than we've had in the past, Dave.
This is now that I'm a lot more because we this was one of the jobs that Kleeman was doing on our behalf, but the feedback was not coming this direction to us from those property owners saying like we need to have more involvement instead of having your crews just show up and just do whatever they want on these rental properties.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I mean, this was framed earlier as a problem of reaching the landlords and delays and installations because some of these landlords are out of the area and
It's
hard
true.
to
And
reach or don't respond. So
I mean, for these asked for landlord info 19, some mix of those 19 are MDUs, apartment buildings, or mobile home parks, or more than a duplex. But some of those 19, I can go back and kind of dive into that, are single family homes where we can't find the landlord. Now, if this was passed where we don't need any engineering support and we're not putting any major infrastructure like utility poles in their park, um, it would be easier to reach them without having to get a sign off. But if we talk to these property owners, they really don't want to be cut out of the conversation when they know the conversation exists.
Yeah, but I think the tact here would be to try and get hold of landlords, but they're totally unresponsive. Then we just go ahead because basically de facto then we have the right to put the service there and serve them this great service that we have. So yeah, so I think we can take a tact here that we'll try and do it, but if we get where we get the right to do it, then I think we would provide service to those. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
Graham, I
we
think that's a great way to
um,
use this potential change in the law as a tool that we have available, where we still reach out to the property owners, but
yeah,
if they're not responsive and it's a single family home that's easy for us to install, and the state has granted us right to do that, and we've reached out one, two, three times to the property owner and says your tenant wants this. The state allows us to go on site. We'd love to have a conversation with you about where and how that gets done. But if you can't come to the table, the state is allowing us to do the installation the same way that Spectrum, Frontier, Verizon are doing
yeah,
those installs.
yeah. And then also we don't need to keep track of these agreements and stuff like that. Also, that would be, which reduces our overhead. So, 'cause
It solves a problem. It doesn't solve all the problems, but it is definitely something that would be a good tool to have available. Okay, it's a lot of time on these parts of this project. Anything else before I jump on to other parts of the report regarding the deep dive through our sign up list and seeing who's where and where the blockers are and outreach and
um, is the RS we assigned an engineer to help do some of these? Are we making good progress with those ones that we are able to engineer?
we're making some progress. I would not say it's been very fast. We're we're we have a limited capacity or limited amount of engineering services, and it's highly focused on construction.
But I thought
Yes,
we had an engineer who was actually assigned to help with the MDUs. Is that wrong? Are they doing other construction stuff?
they're doing other things too.
Okay.
I can add some color to that just briefly. We do have a assigned project manager, Graham. Currently, we have, I think it's 4 to 5 engineers on site doing the finalized design for the rest of basically the balance of the project. They should be largely complete with that work in the next couple of weeks and freeing up to focus more on this.
Great.
We
We are still,
go ahead, Brad.
Ronnie, our staff is still continuing to try to get some scheduled though. I know. I believe you just talked to her this morning, Dave, but
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Graham, we've had about an hour of engineering time in the last 4 weeks of insight. Like an engineer has to come to a parcel, figure out where the service is on the poles or the handholds around it, go to that building, determine what's going on in the building, where we would have handholds or lines coming in, what the outside plant looks like to bring the network into that building or that park. Um, and we've had them focusing on the construction or the construction side and not on the MDUs. Uh, we made some progress on some of these. So, for instance, like um, with regard to Fall Creek Park in the Etna community, this is a 38 unit mobile home park. We've met there a few times in the last 2 months with the owner of the park. We've identified that we're going to put in 7 utility poles. Syracuse Utilities came on site to estimate where they would be. We walked around the park with the owner to know where we could put those poles, put in by hand, not by machine, because of all the septic fields and all the utilities underground. When the next step was to ask Syracuse Utilities to put in a quote for this work, it came in over the purchasing threshold where we just approve it. So now we're putting that out to bid for a contractor to do any of these MDU construction projects. Hopefully that bid goes out this month, gets awarded next month in January, and construction for Fall Creek Park and any other MDU that requires construction, new utility poles or boring underground, which is not part of construction of the network. It's this other end on the installation side that can get awarded to them and scheduled. So it's like we got to get the landlord to allow us to go on their property. We have to walk the property with them with an engineer to say, like, here's how we bring the service to all these different units. Mobile home parks are different than apartment buildings, but they're both similar in that we have to have a in-person engineer who knows where and how much strand and fiber to bring in, how to lay it out across the area of those of the multiple dwelling unit, and then come up with a plan, like how we're going to do this, and then get the property owner to say, yeah, you can do that on my property, and then get a quote for how much it's going to cost to do it, and then approve the purchase. Probably a lot more steps than a single family home.
One wonders if we should consider, depending on the expense of these things, is setting up a strong Wi-Fi with a couple Wi-Fis that can cover, outdoor ones that can cover everything, but like that. But
It has
definitely
definitely been.
we'd have to engineer that differently. We'd also would have to have a mechanism that people can sign up, use the service and not use the service. So, but
Yes, so far, I would say the town board, myself, the broadband committee has focused on Dryden Fiber being a fiber delivery service, whereby if you're a customer, you have fiber to you, not fiber to the road and then Wi-Fi to your house.
mhm.
That's just not the business that Dryden Fiber is in, as Dan read in the mission, fiber optic service to the customer. Um, I'd love to say it would be easy to do that. It would still be work to put in all these Wi-Fi broadcast
Oh no.
systems all over the place and broadcast Wi-Fi, but there are limits on the speed that we can offer through Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and we need a management system to log into that and out of it and that sort of thing. So
Yeah, I mean, I believe that our partners in Integrity could figure out how to manage those signups and have accounts and provision Wi-Fi services per customer with their own closed networks across an area, but it's not providing fiber service. And I'll say this as a pretty good guess: 100% of these places have a wired coax service to their unit, either to the apartment or to the mobile home. So it's not a matter of like possibility. It can be done. We just have to figure out how to do it. So that's what we've been working on that one little part of the business, which is all the inbound requests, where they are, and getting them activated. Through that work, I think we've identified probably roughly 25 to 30 requests that had gone stagnant, that Integrity has followed up on those people and got them scheduled, and they're now live. So a handful of live customers in the last 2 months are just from like digging through that list of signups and reactivating those prospects and getting them scheduled. So there's also some cash value impact, so customer base impact on doing that work. I talked about MIP earlier with the deadline quite a bit. Brad's going to cover the project where we are today regarding timelines and the projects with Freeville, Greater Dryden, and Caroline, and the overall timelines for completion. The map is updated. The yellow is the Freeville expansion. Kind of in the middle of the upper part of the map of Dryden is the village of Freeville, near that big purple block, which is George Junior Republic. Everything in yellow is in that Freeville expansion zone. So, as I said earlier, Provilla Road, most of Bone Plain, quite a bit of West Dryden Road, and then Route 38, 366, and then part of Route 13 and the areas in between. Orange is that Greater Dryden expansion. And our goal right now is to have all the orange and all the blue done before the end of next year. The maps on the website, take a look. You can zoom in and out. Purple, as it says, is the special provisions. They tend to be the mobile home parks or apartment buildings that we've identified where we need to do additional engineering to bring service to them. This is the status, stoplights, traffic lights for the whole project, but we're going to do a deeper dive in Brad's segment on each of the three main projects. Let's go to Amanda on customer base. Amanda, it's sunny there.
Yes, it is. Sorry if I look a little shaded out, but
It's
I'm
good.
enjoying the sunshine. So as you can see here, we had basically 12 new customers, lost two only because of moving, and one new commercial customer this month. As Dave said, it's just been steady. Also, I think with the holidays that change things, but I can say that we've already had 6 new customers added to billing this week. So we are over 500 officially.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
500.
not as of the end of the month. So I do have to laugh at one of them just because it came through this morning. It was actually a customer that canceled to go back to Spectrum and has now come back to us after 4 months. So that was kind of, we had to figure out do we just reactivate their account or how we did it. So that was just a funny story from this morning that Matt was putting in. So
Nice.
Was there something special you had to do that, or?
well, basically, we just took their customer that we had canceled, undid the customer cancellation, and
Yeah.
added the subscription one more time, just so that shows the dates of the original and then the new subscription. So, and we're letting the customer know, like, hey, you already have an automatic payment if you want to change it, but here's what
Great.
it is. So, thought that was interesting because it very clearly Integrity noted customer canceled so many days ago, restarting the same location. It's not like they moved to a new location, from what we can tell.
It was low.
And you
It's
think
like,
you think they were back on Spectrum for 4 months?
Yeah, that's what that said. I mean, I'm just going off of what we're getting from Integrity. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
I thought that was interesting too. So I
Yeah.
just thought I'd share that story because it came through this morning.
I think they put it in their sign up form. They were like, we switched, we're switching back.
Yeah,
Did they say why? That would be the really.
I don't have that information, so I don't know that.
We need a quote from that customer on the website, Dave.
We can track them down now that they're back online.
Yeah. Uh, and I did want to follow up, this is kind of minor, but I'm not sure if Dave had this in, but we did a promotion to encourage automatic payment sign up through the month, through the November payments. And so we did have selected a customer that got a free month of service in December. So that was done. They're still counted in here as a current customer. They just had 1 month that they're not paying. So we did do that promotion, and we're continuing to do the coupon. They get if you get referred by a current customer, the current customer gets $25 off 1 month of their bill. So we are still doing that process. I think, Dave, that one goes through December, maybe January. I'd have to go look up
Yeah, it
the.
currently goes through December 31st. It would be good to get a report on how many of those we've done.
Okay, I can. Yeah, it's just pulling up who had that coupon.
Yeah,
Um,
we can put that on the December 19th agenda to discuss if how it looked, how did it work, like what was the
yeah.
impact?
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's when we talk about adding referral, not referral, how did you hear about us? That could get confusing with the number of amount of information on that sign up list. Um,
there's a lot.
and I guess I always, whenever I fill that out, I always question like, well, I've heard about it 3 ways. Which one do I put down? And I think that's probably a case of everybody. So do we pick one and not the other? That's a conversation that can happen later, but I can, for the reporting meeting in January, yes, we can have a list of how many those referrals came through.
Cool. So close. We probably were at 500 for like a minute, and then we lost people because they moved.
Yeah.
But now we're there. We're over it now with those 6 new billings
Yes.
this week. Okay. The rest of the finances, Amanda.
So the rest of the finances, basically a lot of construction. I mean, we're still paying out construction, mainly a lot of engineering, and other expenses going out. Not a lot of equipment bought or supplies bought because we're still ramping up all of that. Part of that construction did include the audit that not Integrity, Clarity did. Operations, Dave, can you just go forward one to the next slide for me? Operations, you'll see the expenses went up. This was due to, I went and researched this. We paid one of our insurance bills got paid, an annual insurance bill got paid out. And that our payroll is going up because our accounting person is increasing his hours between inventory and accounting. And there was one time. Marketing of the Caroline groundbreaking expenses for all the marketing expenses. That's why we kind of see an increase from October to November.
Gotcha.
So those were the few notes on finances. We are in process with renewing our ban so that the funds will be available in January. But we're also looking at some long-term, as we've increased this cost of the project because of just timing. The original budget was back from 2019. So we are working on long-term projections that you will see. I think, Dave, we have that scheduled for February, looking at long-term budget, so that we're getting all that details together now, especially for our ban borrowing. Coming a second one that's going to have to go through the proper reporting through the town board.
Any questions for Amanda? Amanda, I'm pretty sure that most of these expenses are not tied to the quantity of customer base.
The only ones that are probably tied to the quantity are our credit card fees, because it's dependent on how many payments go through. But yes, I think that's the only one. The rest are flat. Plume, Cogent, Windstream, Integrity. Those are the big ones that are all flat. Like they're not going to change no matter how many customers we have.
I think Integrity does.
Well, Integrity will this month. We'll
there'll
see
be a
that one
tier.
change here in the next month or so. But
I think those are in 500 unit groups.
Yes, I
Yeah.
believe so. When we went and looked at that contract, it was a 500. So when we were going to go over 500, we're going to see that change come in the next month or so.
So I think, I mean, the idea behind that question is that if we had twice as many customers, the expenses would not all double. Many of the expenses are highly fixed. What we're paying for the backhaul provider, which is a big piece of it. What we're paying for Plume, Wi-Fi services. What we're paying, like the more customers, the better. In that the gap between revenue and expenses just flips and just grows substantially. There will always be some things that level up, but it won't increase at the same rate as customer base. We're going to see what that looks like in 2026. Um,
We will.
we could probably do this slide as a projection of expenses and revenue to show where the line not just crosses consistently, but where it breaks out and
Yeah, we did that
starts to
with
really grow.
Caroline when we did the Caroline projections. So yes, when we are getting into more detailed projections for the whole of Dryden Fiber, in particular Dryden, we can do the same.
Cool. Customer service. I don't think anyone from Net Integrity is here. Um, looks like the average month. Um, as you heard, very positive customer service, 24/7, 365 phone and email. Um, and they can dial a local number 844-7800 and get to our support team too. Installs, talked about those already. I think we had 11 installs in the month of November. Scheduled as of December 1st was 12. 7 of those are complete, and 5 more are scheduled. So we're going to have more, as of today, we have more installations for December than we had the entire month of November. That's from like shaking the tree as well as some of the activity from the most recent marketing. The next two slides are a deeper dive into the MDUs. We talked about this quite a bit already, so I don't really want to spend time on this. I will send this report if you want to go through and we can talk about each of the individual MDUs. The first page here are all the mobile home parks. The second are all the apartment buildings and apartment building type of places and where we are in the process of reaching out to them and doing engineering work to provide service to them. I did the first couple columns on the marketing overview, which is, again, the same information. 12 new customers on contract, 65 inbound requests. Looking at that compared to October, we had 98. Still pretty substantial compared to the last few months with the burst of signups following the Caroline groundbreaking in both towns. Tony.
On the previous slide, what's the um it was for uh Dryden Village Four Corners. What's that?
There are 9 different units in the Four Corners. You have the church that's going to be a community center at 9 East Main
Oh,
Street.
okay. Yeah, so it's all the commercial buildings around the
Yeah.
yeah, I get
6
it.
East Main and 2 East Main are apartment buildings. 6 East Main has 6 units. 2 East Main has 2 apartments plus the deli, the sub shop.
Right.
On the other side of South Street, on I guess it's 1 West Main Street, 7 apartments upstairs, 2 commercial spaces. One's the cafe on the
Right.
first floor. Then we're pretty good on the south side of West Main, from the bank all the way to the town line. The north side of West Main, including the new bookstore, the yarn store, then all the
Hmm.
way down to the library. All those are basically all these buildings are similar in that they're basically islands. All their utilities currently come in underground. Spectrum, NYSEG, natural gas, telephone. And we have to figure out how we're going to also go underground, get into those buildings, and then provide service.
Okay.
I thought we had an agreement with Verizon, we could use those um their chases or whatever, their conduits, but
I've never heard that. I've never heard any of that before.
well, I
Please,
thought
please provide information.
Well, this is from when they were engineering how to get up that street anyways, didn't we? I thought we didn't re-dig or re-bore, I don't think. I think they ran it in Verizon owned conduit somehow. But maybe I could be out to lunch. Maybe Tony remembers, but
I'm not remembering that.
I'm going to say that's prior to my
so
involvement, either in marketing or executive director. I do not recall any Jason or Dan any agreements with. Oh, Eric from Clarity might know. Eric?
That might be same deal as the Mount Pleasant Baker Hill Road thing.
yeah.
As we're using it as feed fighter, like a backhaul between cabinets or between pops. And I don't know if there's something, maybe we can't use it as distribution. That's what happened up in Mount Pleasant and Baker Hill Road with Point Broadband. That might be the same deal.
I don't think I mean, as far as I know, Brad might know, I've seen something. We have no contracts with Verizon to be using
Right.
any of their network directly, indirectly, dark fiber, fiber to the home, fiber to, like,
I don't think it was reusing the fire. I was using the conduit, but
well, that's very different than what Eric's
uh,
suggesting about how we're partnering with
okay,
with Point Broadband on
okay,
Mount Pleasant,
Well, I
which
mean,
is
it's same type of deal. I mean, it's using their stuff, just not their fiber,
yeah.
is what I'm trying to get at.
Because well, how are we going up Main Street anyways? You aren't going across the poles, are you? There's quite a bit of
it's
that underground.
It's all underground.
Syracuse Utilities board from the rail trail east all the way along West Main Street, under
Oh,
south,
okay.
and then all the way to the village town line, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah, the
so
town
so it
hall.
yeah, it could have maybe changed. If they bored it, then that was a change. But there was a discussion. I can't remember how many. I mean, it was a year ago or a year and a bit when we are trying to figure out how to get in there. So, uh,
I don't think I
so probably if they board it, yeah, if they board it, then we don't have that access probably. So, I
Yeah,
mean, it
this
was
is the
just a
thing. Like
discussion to have that access.
they bored down the south side of West Main Street, under or near the sidewalk, and they put in handholds.
Right.
And some of those buildings are serviced from those handholds. Some of them are being serviced from George Street behind the south side of West Main Street. However, for 2 East Main, 1 West Main, and 6 East Main, there's no handhold right in front of those buildings to provide service. The closest handhold is the next house down, that big white house on East Main. But there's not even a multi-port device in the handhold there. It's just the end of a loop of the network. Like, our prior engineering firm was just like, we'll figure it out later. And the 16 of us on this call are now in that place of figuring it out later. I can't tell if Eric raised his hand again or if
Yeah,
he's.
yeah. Sorry. So I'm looking at the audit map, and there's only one handhold between Mill Street and South Street.
Amazing. So it means the rest of the service is coming from behind or
Correct. Yeah, behind down George Street.
down George Street. That may eventually catch up with us when people who own properties on the south side of West Main Street request service.
Or even the north side.
Or even the north side, like the hotel.
Yeah.
I know we have service on the north-south roads on the north side of the street. Library,
Hmm.
Lewis, Rochester, Wall. We have service there. Um, Perhaps the intention was to use those service lines to come down on the main on the north side of West Main. Um,
I don't
we
think there's any poles over there though. That's the problem.
not on the street.
Not on Main Street, I don't think.
Let's um let's review the sign up lists and see where the requests are. We've had a lot of requests in the village. We currently have 30% of the village that has access to service is signed up and they're live customers. It would appear that um, none of those are in that little stretch on West Main. Where they can't be accessed from George Street behind. Because I know we are reaching some on West Main from George Street, coming up like over the parking lot near the post office. We're continually challenged by the past. We're going to get through it though. Let's see. Amanda already talked about the Refer a Friend program. We'll get an accounting of what that looks like when we meet in 2 weeks to talk about the future of that program. All right. Brad, do you want to give an engineering update? We got about 20 minutes left.
Yep. Just get one thing. I was just looking at that downtown design. So give me one second here. We've talked a lot in the past on these calls, and it's going to continue to be a common theme over the next 6+ months. Electric Make Ready is going to be the name of the game. We currently have 8 crews in market between our 2 EMR partners, and I just wanted to throw up kind of where we sit with respect to applications in both townships. We do have 15 Make Ready Complete packs, another 5 that are pending, kind of a transformer shortage issue that we're currently mitigating or a change request. You can see we've got an additional, I believe it's 20+ assigned to our 2 EMR partners, as well as some more that are going to be prepped for bid and a few in design yet. So that's kind of a snapshot of the pole application status. Dave, if you want to go to the next slide.
Brad, can you just address this transformer issue? And, it seemed a risk in the memo that you did a great memo of this stuff. But
So
when you say mitigate, how can we mitigate it? I mean, do they have to put the new transformer on there, or can
it's
we
a
get
great
away?
question. So essentially what they're doing is it's a non-billable to Dryden fiber upgrade of the transformer from the current 10 kVA transformers to 25 kVA transformers. And so as part of this overarching project, NYSEG's upgrading some of their gear on, again, non-billable to Dryden work. We've been having some shortages of those transformers, and it seems like mostly logistically, although we don't know the underlying root cause. What we've been doing, Graham, is working directly with NYSEG in the last couple of weeks, and actually reached out to our prime contact there this morning, and they've said that there's 37 transformers currently available or becoming available, and we've asked them to provide, okay, of those 37, how many are assigned to each crew or each EMR contractor? And not only that, but you can see on assigned HRS and assigned Danella, if you combine all those Make Ready packages together, the balance of what we need is approximately 215 transformers.
Wow.
So yes, and then you can add even more to that with the packs in prep for bid and engineering design. So working directly with NYSEG on that, there isn't an option out there that if they can't supply them, our EMR vendors, if NYSEG agrees to it, could possibly just move the old transformer to the new pole, or something of that scenario where they just don't upgrade that transformer. So we're working directly with NYSEG on that currently, Graham, and hoping to have resolution, because I think at the end of the day, upgrading those services is a net positive for the community as well.
Oh, yeah, no, I think, but if they aren't available and we can't get them in time, we are not going to make MIP. So, I mean, that's
Correct.
you could
and so we need a
exactly.
we need a workaround with them or something else or you know,
Completely agree.
yeah.
And we've asked them to provide, the schedule of when we'll get the 37 they've committed to, which would clear out a lot of those pending transformer, um, 5 of them that you see there, um, and even bleed into some of the assigned packs as well. But we've also requested a schedule of the balance of the 215.
Oh, great. Okay, thanks, Brad.
Yeah, I yeah, and Dave, I appreciate the sharing the update from Vantage, but to be honest, it didn't make me feel great.
Or it's a substantial risk. New York State
Yeah,
is well aware of this,
yeah,
um, but we need to allow NYSEG to respond to our request for timelines and
right,
details before we can overflow that to the state for them to push. If they come back and say, we're going to give you 5 per week for the next 100 weeks to get to the 500 you need, then the state can say, well, that's beyond the 56 weeks left of the project. Like that doesn't work. And then they can push on NICEAG to do one of two things, as I think Graham asked about, which is get more devices faster or change their requirement, as Brad mentioned,
right,
upgrade. I mean, it's a huge savings to them to have our electrical make ready crews while they're there doing our work to do the upgrade. It costs thousands of dollars to send a bucket truck with a new transformer to a pole, go up in the air, stop traffic, have flag wavers, like have a whole crew there to do this. They're saving a bunch of money because we're paying for all that bucket truck and flaggers to do our work on the pole that we have to do. Mark has been patiently
Hey,
waving his hand. Mark.
yeah. So this is great, and Brad and the Vantage team, thanks for the memo. That was really helpful. I just when you talked to your NICEAG contact, did they say anything about whether like providing 215 25 kVA transformers is possible? Or if it's just a supply side limitation or any kind of information about that?
They committed to 37 in our most recent email correspondence, Mark, and we asked, okay, when are we getting those 37? And also the balance of our need is 215. So we're awaiting response on that yet, Mark.
And they know we're under this grant that has a December 31, 26 deadline, right?
I mentioned in the email that we are beholden to a timeline of end of 26 for our fiber construction. Not just the change out of the transformers.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
We don't need all 215 today. As you see on here, some of these are assigned, some of these are in prep for bid. Like some of them, they're not ready to take that equipment, but we definitely need at least the 37 they've committed. We could use those immediately to close out some of these pendings and then move into the next groups.
And to Dave's point, I mean, I think to be fair to them, if they shipped all 215 to us today, I don't know if we'd have the logistical space to handle that. So just trying to understand if they've got the inventory and when we'll get it.
It's like you're gonna go do an errand and you're like, well, while I'm out, I might as well, stop over at the dry cleaner and drop something off. I might as well go to the grocery store. Next thing you know, you're like out all day. That's like the electrical make ready. Like we're already going to the pole just to move the line up 3 feet so we can put dried fiber there. But while we're there, might as well replace the pole we only do that once every 40 years. Well, and we might as well replace, like, they just start stacking all these other things on while we're there, and it turns into this whole other thing. Um,
Yeah, and they haven't
it's a,
removed their poles either, the second ones, and they're still
that's a
at least
whole other thing
one.
we can talk about.
Yeah, that's
I do want to talk about the make ready, run rate timeline with the crews. That's Brad.
Yeah, so again, I mentioned we've got 8 crews in market currently between the 2 vendors. And you can see that puts us at a make ready completion date of, just after 4th of July. What we've been doing is working with the each vendor and requesting more crews. Both of them are open to the idea of bringing more crews in. HRS committed to bringing another crew in. And Danella's response was, yeah, we'll bring more crews in if you can get us transformers.
Yep.
So, but you can see, just adding a couple crews, brings our timeline in pretty significantly. And we were quite conservative in putting this together as well, just for transparency. But if we can, my objective is to get us to 12 crews, and what that allows us to do is we won't have to be as methodical about when we get certain areas complete. If we can get it blitzed early, we can open up big construction runways and really allow our outside plant vendor to be very efficient.
yeah.
Thanks, Brad.
So I know,
Go ahead.
Dave, this might be going backwards, but with the Freeville expansion,
Yes.
and I tried to get from that, how is this transformer thing affecting the Freeville expansion timeline?
Some of these pending transformer CR are in the Freeville expansion. A couple of those permits. So
Okay,
a given pack or package is no more than 150 utility poles per permit.
right,
A lot of them are like 13 of these being complete includes the ones that are already in the green zone that are live
right,
throughout town. Some of those make ready completes are in the Freeville expansion zone and some of the pending transformers. I think in the Freeville expansion area, the missing transformers is a small number. But I don't know the exact number. It's not all 37.
No, it's like less than 10.
Yeah, it's a handful.
But
right, right. But if you have one that's in a pathway that it could prevent you from like doing a whole segment, right?
Yeah.
correct, because that particular one transformer holds up all 150 poles,
Right.
in that scenario, we can't get a conditional license until that one transformer is installed.
Right.
And we're not allowed to go in and do construction on those utility
Mhm.
poles until we have
Until you have the right,
that
right,
conditional license.
right, right. Okay. I was just trying to get a sense of how it impacts the Freeville expand. I mean, so right now we're still on track for the Freeville expansion with what has been talked about in the contract, right? But
Yes.
So we have a March, it's mid-March that they should be done with that.
Yeah. And we're working really closely that when these transformers become available, they head to HRS. HRS is doing the electrical make ready in the Freeville expansion area.
right,
Like it doesn't do any good to give them to Danella, who's primarily working. Well, not primarily. They're working all over town and Caroline. They both
right,
are. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't help to replace these 10 with 25s in Caroline right now. Like
right, right.
we're building it. It's a lot of things to orchestrate.
Okay. Not trying to dwell on it. I was just trying to get a sense of the.
I'm glad that more than I mean,
Yeah.
most of this like gray matter around this has been like with Brad and me. So having it spread out to more people
Mhm.
like see things that we're not seeing or ask questions that we're not asking, or just to know about it and communicate it. Like, why don't I have fiber? Like, there's a long list. We're working on all those things, but there's still a long list, and now a few more people know what those things are.
Right.
Do you want to talk to this calendar Brad?
Yeah, a brief construction update before I dive into the calendar. They being Syracuse Utilities has done some buried work in the area. We're shoehorning them around, if you will, into some areas in which they can do aerial work, where we do have approved permits. Uh, Again, I don't want to dwell on it, but there is two key make-ready packs, Dryden 8 and 11, pending the transformer issues that would open up significant runway for them to really move the needle on that particular project. For the next two projects, Dryden Fiber Remaining and Dryden Fiber Caroline, we're finishing up the design work on those two right now. Contract 2, which is Dryden Fiber Remaining, and that is everything Dryden, not in the Freeville expansion, is to be finished next Friday, delivered to Amanda, and then posted to the New York State Contract Reporter, so people can start reviewing those documents the following Monday, the 15th. Similarly, the Caroline package should be finished on the 22nd. I think it was the 29th, but this shows the 22nd. But our commitment was the 29th. So by the end of the month, that will be hitting the street for bid as well. Following the bid process and, kind of the construction prep period, we can then commence construction. We've built in buffer into each of these timelines as well. When you look at the construction windows, that Dryden Fiber Remaining, I believe, is slated to be a 90-day construction contract. We've built in 30 extra days, and these are business days into that timeline for weather, electrical make-ready challenges, what have you, as well as Caroline. You see 150 days. I believe that's slated to be a 120-day construction contract. So again, just building some buffer in there to make sure if any challenges arise, we have some leeway in there. Questions? And I think if you look at these, very, very attainable. It goes back to the make ready, and that's why we're making a big push now and into the first of the year to get more make ready crews, so we can really allow, again, the chosen outside plant vendor in both of these projects to be successful and efficient.
Thanks, Brad. Any questions for Brad?
Are you using a project management tool that allows you to put in these hard stops like transformers and stuff into it, or?
Yeah, we use
smart
sheets, Graham. So yes, we use a project management tool.
Okay. So we will know whether this is going to slide because of those, probably in a month.
Yeah, I mean,
or can we overlay it on these, like maybe put a because like with any project, it looks good when you've got it laid out like this. But if there's hard stop that this requires this to be done before this really gets done, your problem is that piece starts to creep in time, and then that pushes all the other pieces dominoes down the line. So
yeah, certainly agree, Graham, and I think we'll know more hopefully in the next 48 hours or so on the transformers, so we can understand where we sit with that. And then we're also tracking make ready rate of production as with respect to these timelines right here. So
can you just comment on Sean's progress on, I mean, are they making good progress with what we have or what we expected since they started? I mean, they only recently started, but I think it was October.
We're having to shoehorn them around to very specific areas where we have approved permits, and both right-of-way permits and pole permits. So it's not, again, that's why the focus, we've been talking about it for make ready for months, right? But increase focus on that. So in these next projects, they can be more efficient. And again, there's two make ready packs that we without the transformer issue we would have done by now, that they could be quite a bit more efficient as well. And just to keep you in the loop too, Graham, we have weekly calls with each HRS and Danella and are coordinating with them where they should be working, where they can get us good runway for our outside plant contractor to make progress.
Mhm. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Brad. And we're going to go over time, but we'll hit a few more things and then kind of end. I know we're already at noon. HR, we have an account manager position. We drafted a description. Don't know if it is with civil service.
Yeah, it's with civil service. I sent a reminder email this week to see if I can poke them to move that forward.
Love to get that posted this year and filled in early 2026 as
Yes.
as the
I'll
number
follow
of
up again next week
inbounds
with
has
them.
continued to increase. And there's a lot of handling between account management, which I'm doing, and each of these property owners to get them to schedule with us with our engineering resources and to talk about the right of access agreement. Quick legal update. So green is done. Hooray. The orange check marks are new things that are completed. So the Empire Access Reciprocal Agreement is done, and the easement for Hillside Drive has been completed now. So now we have legal control over a big part of our backbone. The items with like the double check mark list, we're close on the Empire Access Overlash Agreement. It's, I believe, with Empire Access. DigSafe monitoring, we received it yesterday. It's going to be on the town board's agenda for next week to manage our DigSafe. And finally, the Dryden Caroline IMA, Dan and Jason and I met earlier this week. We have a few adjustments to it before it goes to our attorneys in the town of Caroline with a goal of updating the Caroline Dryden IMA sometime in the spring.
Hey, Dave, can I just say, I glanced at that DigSafe document and I didn't go through it, I just quickly glanced through it, but it looked like there was they were only liable up to $500 if they made a mistake. And I'm like worried that, well, if they mismark the line and they cut through a major piece of the fiber, the reconnection for that is probably going to be way over $500. I don't know what it is, but um, it seemed very low to me. So
I believe the answer, because we did go back and forth with our legal team at Phillips Lytle for months, was that our insurance will cover the difference. We're insured.
Okay.
We're insured.
Okay.
A year ago,
Okay.
a year ago, we
Okay.
didn't have insurance, so we're as you've seen it in the expenses that Amanda is showing us. So we talk about paying insurance. The insurance will cover anything that happens like that.
Okay. And they don't want to then sue the parking people because they also have, it's all arbitration and things like that. So.
I mean, ultimately, UCIS, they have 20,000 techs in the field across the country and already are providing the service of markout and clearing of requests as they come in for everyone else that's underground where we are. NYSEG, Spectrum, Frontier, Point Broadband, they're already doing that work on site. Doesn't mean that they're never going to make mistakes, but they're like, there's like them and one other company who do this work nationwide. So
Okay.
there's a little bit of just trust that what they're doing is affordable. It's less than half the price of the nearest competitor that we looked at. And it's gonna scale in terms of price as we grow, but it still is going to be way more affordable for us as an organization than every other alternative we've looked at so far. That's the legal update for the month. It says October, but it's really November. All right, the last thing is regarding the fiber to the premises RFP. We sent this out. The deadline is 15 business days, which lands us on December 15th, which is 10 days from now. This is to potentially replace Sienna for the OLT devices in the POPs that then connect to the ONU devices in the homes. The reason we're doing this is that Sienna is moving away from their fiber to the home services. They told us they would support all equipment. They told us two things. First, they would give us a 1 year notice from the time they stop building new devices. Then, once they stop building them, they'll support them for 5 years. Unfortunately, our plan is to have these devices in homes for 7 to 10 years, and that timeline puts too much at risk to stay with them with their current plan of moving into the AI space and away from the fiber to the home space. Now, that being said, um, they did tell me they are planning to bid on this RFP themselves. In addition, Calix is planning to bid on this. It's at the threshold where it has to go to RFP. It's over $35,000. So therefore, we'll be opening those bids on the 15th. We do need to make a decision because the Freeville POP, where we're connecting this Freeville expansion zone into, is out of ports today. In order for Syracuse Utilities to finish their project after they put all the fiber out there on the poles and finish all the underground work and splice it all together and splice in all of the MPTs across the entire region of this Freeville expansion, they'll have to plug into a box in the Freeville POP. And right now that slot on the rack is empty.
Do we have in our other pops, do we have an extra or something that isn't fully utilized that can be moved rather than us committing to buying a new one?
We do, and then we actually could stick another Sienna one in there. The problem is the device that's in the POP will only talk to the devices in the homes that match the device in the POP. So if we deploy another 32 port Sienna device in the Freeville POP, it means that every home in that Freeville expansion zone is going to be using those old Sienna 3801 ONUs for the next 7 to 10 years. We want to begin that transition away from this hardware that's being sunset by Sienna to a long-term provider who's going to be able to be with us for 20 or 30 or 40 years, who focuses on fiber to the home.
But if they're bidding on the RFP and they win it, we're
We're assessing what to do about that. Um,
how much commitment and time is built into the RFP that was written? Or is it something that we asked them about? So
what do you mean?
well, a factor that you must support things for 7 to 10 years, is that built into some of the bid RFP?
Yes, we ask in the RFP for quotes on support for a few different flavors. I believe Amanda, like one was 3 years and one was 5 years.
Okay.
I
Something like
believe so.
that.
I know there was some timing included in the RFP without going back and looking at the details. So
So I've asked the Public Broadband Committee to weigh in on these. So when when we receive them, we can't open them until the 15th. Once we open them, they will be sent to us digitally, so we can put them on a drive and the Broadband Committee take a look at them. I'd like to call a meeting on the 16th on that Tuesday to review and assess what we've learned from these bids, and then make a recommendation to the town board for their meeting on the 18th. Authorizing the supervisor to sign an agreement, place the order on the 19th of December, and as part of the RFP, we've asked them to be able to provide us with the device that would go in the Freeville POP, I believe no later than January 9th, which would line up nicely with Syracuse Utilities construction, where they need to plug into the POP to finish the wiring and begin to bring people online in the Freeville expansion zone at the end of January, early February. So I'll I'm not sure what time of day on the 16th. I'll put a survey out to the broadband committee and we talk about when it would make sense to meet for at least a majority of the committee to discuss this. Separate from that, we can talk about Plume and where we are with Plume devices when we meet in 2 weeks. I don't think I had anything else that we definitely had to cover today. If I go back to our agenda document on the other tab, it was the RFP. Everything else we can discuss in 2 weeks at our last meeting of the year, which would be on December 19th at 10:30. Before we go, I want to thank all of you for your time on this committee, whether it's been a month like Kevin or years. Any questions, things you're thinking of that we should think about for the next agenda, which is going to be in 2 weeks?
I think we should have an update on the transformers and
Yeah,
how
I
that's
think
going.
that, yeah.
Definitely.
And yeah.
Good.
And you need to order some nice, warm, sunny days to heat it up so we can run on more underground and stuff, Dave.
I'd be okay with that too. All right. Well, thanks for all your time today. Appreciate your help and your support on this project. This is a public project, so it doesn't work without the Public Broadband Committee being involved and asking good questions and helping us. And
I'll just say cell site is out there today working on the Caroline Hut preparation, and they expect to pour concrete on Monday. So
Nice.
it's this is beautiful weather for them. So
Not too hot. Awesome. Thanks for the update, Mark.
Yep.
All right. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you.
Deal.
Oops.